another eviction, another flooded house, and we found what's in the basement. Yeah, all this and more with our favorite paralegal, Bita DeLisi, right after this. Yes, my friends, here's our favorite paralegal in all of the land, as I like to say. Bita, how are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
I am doing excellent. And Bita always comes prepared with a story. And I gotta tell you, I've had a little glimpse in today's story, and let me tell you, right now, you cannot guess where this story is headed. Of course, it starts with eviction, and that's just where it goes, but that's not where it ends. Bita, what's our story for the week?
That's right. So firstly, I will start off by saying that the property is located it's a rural property. And we had an eviction. The tenant actually owed in and around $52,000 to the landlord. We went through a very lengthy, almost 2-year battle with this tenant. That's why the arrears are so high. Battle with this tenant and battled with the landlord and tenant board because every chance that this tenant got, they would delay. They would do something to delay the process. And then finally, we got our eviction. And I have to say, my landlord is I think he's in and around mid 80s. So he's about 85 years old. Okay. We get an eviction, and my husband, Rob, always attends the evictions just in case. He attends the property. The tenants are gone, which is great, right? The locksmith is there. My landlord is there. They do a walk around of the property to secure the property. And what these tenants have done, actually, they have they have put something in each drain. So in each bathroom, in each sink, they have put something to clog that drain. They've turned on all of the taps.
Wow.
And as you can imagine, the entire property was flooded. Okay, so that's number one. Not only was the entire property flooded, but there was a big stench coming from the property that nobody could figure out, where is this coming from? What is this smell? And walking around the property, walking around the exterior of the property, and then Rob notices that at the side of the property there's this opening.
Mm-hmm.
So he sticks his head in there. There's the stench that's coming from there. But Gary, you'll never guess, or you didn't guess when we were playing the guessing game, what was there. It was a dead animal. And I mean, when you think dead animals, you think raccoons, squirrels, what can get into the property? But it was a dead cow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a dead cow, something that we've never seen before, never experienced before. And it doesn't look like someone killed the cow, like physically killed the cow. It looked like that poor animal died because no one fed it. It died of starvation, just the way the photo looked. We won't share a photo today because, it's not a good photo. And
yeah, not appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, not appropriate. That's the word I was looking for. But that's our story for the week.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And there's a lot of elements there, like with the taps being left on and flooding, flooding what could be done to the property and things like that. And Bita and I just mentioned off camera, there is never a day where, no, hang on a second. There's never 2 days the same in the real estate world, right? There's always something, always kind of a little curveball or something like that.
There's always something.
Yeah. And I already know where everyone's mind went, because that's where my mind went. How do you get rid of something like that? That's for another story, or drop it in the comments. I don't know. That's crazy. And this is, you think to yourself, yeah, I'm going to go out and buy an investment property, or this is the reason why people don't buy investment properties. And Bita and I don't have these conversations or share these conversations to scare people. It's really the reality of it. And when you invest in something, or when you take hold and take ownership of something, you got to do it with eyes wide open. And these are the stories that open eyes wide.
I tell you, never a dull moment. But a dead cow?
A dead cow. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that
Yeah,
coming.
no,
Yeah.
nobody did.
I can't imagine Rob's face when he first saw it, right? Just like, what?
Or that smell. I
Yeah.
mean, uh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
for those of
nuts.
you who've smelled a dead body, you know how really bad that smell is. But a dead animal, I think it's
Yeah.
about the same,
Crazy,
right?
crazy, crazy. There you have it. There you have it. Okay. So, what's going on in our real estate world? And we were just chatting offline. I'm starting to see a lot more. Now, when I say a lot more, just an uptick in properties, investment properties being listed. And we're seeing that from, obviously for various different reasons, and the underlying reason is the cost of carrying that property. And I was curious, but are you getting some of those similar phone calls with some of the investors that you work with?
I am. I'm getting a lot of the investors who are, I would say, the smaller investor who has that one or two other properties other than their home, their principal residence, and they're saying, I really can't do it. I need to get these tenants out as soon as possible.
Mm,
Money is not even a factor. They just want to go straight and do a cash for keys. I mean, I have one investor who wants to pay $60,000 to their tenant, and I said, well, the interest rates are going to come down eventually. Why don't you put that $60,000? Use the differential from the rent that the tenant is paying to what your payment is, and carry it, because what goes up must come down. Like, as you know, Gary, the real estate is very cyclical,
yeah.
and the market is going to go up eventually.
Yeah, yeah, it will. We're probably, my estimation is not until about 2025 as we kind of level out with interest rates. And there's a saying out there a bit too from a lot of my investor friends and colleagues and people that I look up to from that perspective as well. Survive until 25, right?
That's
And
right.
and if we can get through this valley, right, over the next couple of years, as it were, we'll be okay. We'll be okay. And I
Yeah.
know there's this sentiment out there. Oh, every investor must be selling. Well, you and I just had a conversation. We own properties, and we're not looking at selling. And I'm curious to, and this is more of a rhetorical question in a sense, and I'd love to hear or see in the comments later. You know, those investors that are selling, are they the ones that purchased in the last 1 to 3 or 4 years, perhaps, maybe, right? I wonder what that that seller profile looks like from that perspective.
Could be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the newer, I don't want to say newer, but the recently purchased or recently renewed uh, investor who has recently renewed their mortgage that is kind of scrambling now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Perhaps.
fine.
Yeah. Perhaps.
But
And
if you're looking to pay, if the landlords are looking to pay cash for keys an excessive amount, why not just keep that amount and use it as the differential until the market kind of, or the interest rates cool off a little bit.
yeah. 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 No, that's good insight. That's good insight. And you and I, like, I get it. We've owned properties, for some of our properties, 10 plus years. And investors like Bida and I, we're not looking at selling. We have tremendous amount of equity in those properties. And I think the important fact here, as we both talked offline, our mortgages or our monthly mortgage payment, even though some of our properties might be on variable rate and those rates have gone up, the mortgage balance is manageable. How about we say it like that? Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Mortgage,
Yeah.
if your mortgage balance is manageable, and if you can hang on to it, hang on to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Are you still getting phone calls? Obviously the cash for keys might be the number one type of phone call. Uh, are there other ways to help manage that property? Are there other ways to help manage that tenant in an eviction standpoint, or is it the best course usually cash for keys?
The quickest
Ah, there
way
you go.
is the cash for keys,
Yeah,
because this way the tenant gets something, the landlord's getting something, and everybody just moves on in 30 to 60 days or whatever date that you agree. The route of the board, Gare, is 7 to 8 months.
Yeah.
So I had a client send me a message right before I logged on here, and she said, a friend of mine got her tenant out in 60 days. Why are we waiting months to get to the board? And I said, how did your tenant leave? How did this person get the tenant out? And they said, well, the tenant moved out. I said, well, obviously, if the tenant moves out, then they move out. But if they don't, then we have to go through the legal channels. And it's a lengthy government system that we have to go through, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm curious, do you feel, and this is everyone needs to be educated, and whether you're a tenant, a landlord, investor, everyone needs to be educated and know their rights, as it were. Do you feel the tenant and perhaps the landlord are more educated today than they were, say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
You know what, Gary? I find tenants are more educated than the landlords than they
Interesting.
ever were, right? Never mind 5 or 10 years ago, ever were. I find that landlords, they just pick up the phone and call a rep. Or my landlords, my clients, they just pick up a phone and call me, or they send an email and I just respond to them. But tenants, they do research, right? Just because they don't have access to legal reps like landlords do. So they go on the internet, they go on Facebook forums, they do their research, they call the board, and it's not only they pick up the phone and they go, hey, landlord and tenant board, what's the answer to this? No, because through conversation, they ask other questions. They become more educated. Whereas landlords, I find they don't really have, I don't know if it's they don't have the time to do it or they just don't want to do it. They just want to know the answer to their question, and that's it. If I have another question, I'll call you or I'll send
Yeah.
you an email. But tenants, I mean, they have their phones at the tip of their fingers, like these smartphones. It's amazing. They have information at the tip of their fingers, and it's quick information. So
Yeah.
I find tenants are more educated now than ever before.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might think to yourself, if you're watching, you know, we're always against the tenant. Well, no, Ben and I are not always against the tenant. They are our favorite partner in our real estate ownership. They are, in a sense, our most important partner. But you also have to protect your investment by having great tenants. And we have great tenants. And don't worry, we've had the opposite of that as well, right? And
Yeah.
that's on us. That's on us, right? Because we're the ones that selected that tenant at
Yeah.
the end of the day, right?
And there are good tenants.
Oh yeah.
There are good tenants. Like we spent so much time, trying to research our partner and try and find, our partner. I mean, our boyfriends and our girlfriends and our spouses on the internet, trying to find something on them. Why don't we do it when we're picking our tenants?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Because divorcing our tenants is just as expensive. It's just as lengthy than
Yes.
divorcing our partners.
True. And usually
Right?
one wants to leave and one doesn't, right?
Right.
In that
Exactly.
case. That's a really, I like that analogy. That's a good one. That's a good one. What are, as you know, we got a few more minutes here. What are a couple of quick, easy, I don't want to say easy, but I'm going to say easy ways that we can help research if this is the right tenant for our apartment, our unit, our house? Like what are some good resources that we can use?
Okay, so the newest tool, openroom.ca. Okay,
There
I'm a
you go.
huge fan of this. So openroom.ca was a website that was actually was started launched by two very angry landlords, and who were kind of like screwed over by their tenants. So what they said is we're going out to launch this website, and since landlord and tenant board orders are now public as of I believe 2020, all landlords can now upload their landlord and tenant board order on openroom.ca. So, Gary, if you go on that website and you type in your prospective tenant's name, right? If there are any orders against them, it'll pop up. That is one really, really good tool that you can use.
I like it. I'm putting this in right now so I don't miss it.
Okay.
Openroom.ca.
Openroom.ca.
Yeah, I know I've been there before, and I'd actually quite frankly, I've forgotten about that website, this
Yeah.
website here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
interesting.
a
That's
great
interesting.
tool.
That's
Mind
interesting.
you,
Let
mind
me,
you,
I'm
what you
going to
have to
do
keep
this
in
bit. Here
mind.
we go. Oh, nope,
Yeah.
that didn't work. That didn't work. What do I want to do? There we go. Nope, that didn't work either. Well,
Okay.
I was going to show the that website just so people, I'll do a little screenshot of it while in the edits, but that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, Gary, your prospective tenant will only come up if a landlord has uploaded an order. But I
Right.
think right now there's something like 8,000 or 9,000 orders
Yeah, I see it
uploaded.
right.
You
Yeah,
see it?
sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you.
What's the number?
Nine thousand
You got
three
it.
hundred and seventy. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Wow.
Yeah,
And
it is.
is that a transparent Canadian rental ecosystem? So right across Canada, or is this mostly in Ontario for the
That's a
moment?
good that's a good question, Gary. I was on there, I believe, last week looking for my prospective tenant because I was qualifying a tenant for my own property. I think it's only in Ontario.
I see. I see.
I
Yeah. So
think.
do your homework on that website. But yeah, I'm seeing things in here, and you're right. The court order is right front and center. You search for your prospective tenant by name, and it'll have. Yeah, I'm seeing one here from Kitchener. It's got the order right up here. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
It's great. And many landlords say, is there many landlords are always searching for a bad tenant site or somewhere to report bad tenants. I mean, the landlord credit bureau is always great as well to
Yeah.
report tenants who are in arrears, right? You don't need an order for that either,
Right. Right.
right? So
Yeah.
those two I'm a huge fan of, openroom.ca and landlord credit bureau.
Yeah, no,
Um,
those are two excellent resources. I'm glad I asked that question because I had forgotten about this website, and that's a good one for
yeah.
sure. Openroom.ca, and we'll make sure that we had a screenshot of that and put the link up
Yeah.
for that. No, that's
And it's
excellent.
very easy. It's very easy to upload your order on there too.
Is that right? Yeah,
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 I think there's a button. I
yep.
have to
You're
bring it
right.
up.
Upload a court order. I click
Yeah,
that, and it
there
asks
you
for some
go.
of your specific information, and then you just upload the PDF, which is the order, and you
Yeah,
hit submit. No, that's fantastic. Really, really fantastic. And you
those are.
can upload by the province and territory. So there you have it. If you're
Oh,
not
perfect.
in Ontario like Bida and I are, uh,
Yeah.
excellent, excellent, good stuff, Bida. It's always entertaining and enlightening and educating when we get on the phone together or the video calls together. I always learn something. How do people get a hold of you?
Our website is the best way for people to get a hold of us, stonegatelegalservices.ca. On the website, you'll find our contact information, our email. There's actually a section where you can actually book a discovery call, which is kind of like a consultation with members of my team. So the best way to get a hold of us, stonegatelegalservices.ca.
Excellent. And I'll plug it because you didn't this time. Follow them on Instagram. Bida's shorts that she puts out there are so educational. Definitely, definitely. If you're an investor, follow her on Instagram, and you will not be sorry. You'll be thanking us later. Very good. So for Bida DeLisi, I'm Gary McGowan. We'll see everybody on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye for now.